Hi, my dear lecturer. My name is Chao Yang. Now I would like to begin FIN 20016 Assignment 2 presentation. The objective of this presentation is to highlight how COVID-19 pandemic and the volatile of Australian dollar impacted on Australia tourism sector. As we can see, COVID-19 pandemic is being a serious issue all around the world. The pandemic has severely impacted upon the world economy, devastating the tourism industry globally. However, COVID-19 pandemic is being widely spread in Australia. Tourism sector plays an important role in a country economy. Therefore, the depreciation of tourism might also affect country economy. According to the latest update from Health Department in Australia, the total COVID-19 cases in Australia has reached 187,028, while 19,141 are active cases. Besides, the total deaths amount has reached 1,873. Year 2020 was a year of environmental, epidemiological, and economic disruption for Australia's visitor economy. Australia began to restrict arrivals from countries with high COVID-19 cases from February 2020 and closed their borders to all international tourists on 20th of March 2020. This was followed by a national lockdown to limit the spread of COVID-19. As a result, the industry faced sharp declines across all sectors, with the deepest impacts occurring in April 2020. The economic impacts reflect the loss of direct tourism spend by the reduction in international visitor arrivals and the estimated reduction in employment within the visitor economy due to the economy is faltering and some business closure. However, the international visitation of Australia has reduced 40% from January to June in 2020. Comparing to last year's statistic, they lost 1.8 million of international visitors. There has been a dramatic reduction in business activity of the tourism sector, with essentially all jobs in that sector affected, and a large number of workers becoming redundant for an extended period of time. According to Australian Bureau of Statistics, tourism field jobs fell by 5.1% to 662,700 in the year of March 2021. Since the low in June 2020, 56,200 tourism jobs have been added. However, the rate of recovery in the number of full-time and part-time tourism jobs varies throughout different stages of the COVID-19 pandemic, says Jonathan, the head of tourism statistics. As we can see, this is the graph of tourism jobs by employment status from March 2020 to March 2021. Researchers show that the pandemic affects a range of industries and occupations that are beyond the tourism sector. For instance, the decreasing amount of tourists has impacted on the hotel industry heavily. As we can see, this is the hotel occupancy rates in Australia from 2019 to 2020. Many accommodation venues went into hibernation as occupancy rates fell sharply in March and April of 2020. However, they showed signs of recovery in May and June once initial lockdown were eased. Therefore, the paper calls for strong support from the government on tourism as the recovery of tourism can deliver spillover benefits for other sectors and across the whole spectrum of occupations in the labour market. As a result, rebuilding all sectors may boost the country economy and develop a better future. Fortunately, Australian tourism is underpinned by a strong domestic sector. Closure of the international borders mean Australia's visitor economy relied on domestic travellers to lead the recovery. For instance, in 2019, 77% of visitor spend came from Australians travelling locally in Australia. This strong domestic demand, combined with our success in limiting the spread of the virus and growth in traveller confidence, was critical to tourism recovery. Although domestic tourism has restarted and is helping to mitigate the impact on jobs and businesses, but a real recovery will only be possible when international tourism returns. However, the recovery of tourism was uneven. Some businesses rebounded relatively quickly, while others faced prolonged downturns. Factors that are affecting business recovery included location and business activities, reliance on international tourists, outbreaks of COVID-19 and resultant lockdown, and effectiveness of COVID-safe restrictions. These factors lead to additional challenges for business that had already faced difficulties due to the pandemic lockdown. However, the volatile of Australian dollar has also brought some impact towards Australian tourism sector. In Australia, domestic tourism generated 71 billion Australian dollar in 2010 to 2011, representing approximately 75.2% of national tourism revenue. While the number of domestic overnight visitors increased by 2.34% in that year, the number of Australians travelling overseas grew by 7.45%. In fact, the dramatic appreciation of Australian dollar against major currencies has motivated more Australians to travel overseas rather than within their own country. As the Australian dollar rising, visitors from other countries may decrease. If the value of Australian dollar continues to rise, the country will become less attractive to international tourists, who will find Australia a far more expensive destination to visit than it was previously. Likewise, domestic tourism will also shrink, with Australians who would normally holiday at home deciding they can afford to go elsewhere. For instance, in 2012 to 2013, when the Australian dollar was frequently valued at over $1, a similar trend happened. According to the data from Australian Bureau of Statistics, there is a slow increase in visitor numbers in 2013 to 2016, when the dollar began to decrease again. As we can see, tourism sector is one of the hardest hit sector by the COVID-19 pandemic. Therefore, recovering tourism sector is a priority, but the sector must become more sustainable and resilient in the future. In order to rebuild the tourism sector effectively, Australia government should prepare plans to support a sustainable recovery of tourism, promoting the digital transition and move to a greener tourism system, and rethinking tourism for the future. However, in order to recover tourism sector, there more needs to be done in a more coordinated way. First and foremost, government may restore the traveller confidence by promoting domestic tourism and supporting safe return of international tourism. Besides, cleaning and sanitizing should be emphasized and opportunely promoted as a part of the supply. Moreover, Australian government may provide funding for promoting tourism destinations. For instance, they may provide vouchers to residents which can subsidize their demand. Last but not least, government may ease the visa regulations for countries as they recover from the outbreak to boost international tourism flow. So, here are the reference lists that I refer in this assignment. That's all for my presentation today. Thanks for watching.